Space Travelers and Nothing But Space Travelers 4. 17 lost sci-fi short stories from the 1930s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. Written by Fredric Brown, Ray Bradbury, Joseph Slotkin, William Morrison, Poul Anderson, Frederick Pohl, Jack McKenty, Lawrence F. Willard, Robert Silverberg, Alan E. Nourse, Richard O. Lewis, Isaac Asimov, Lyman D. Hinckley, Edward W. Ludwig, and Harry Harrison. Narrated by Scott Miller. The Star Mouse. Lost sci-fi short stories from the 1930s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. Book 147. Written by Fredric Brown. Narrated by Scott Miller. Mitke the Mouse wasn't Mitke then. He was just another mouse who lived behind the floorboards and plaster of the house of the great Herr Professor Oberberger, formerly of Vienna and Heidelberg, then a refugee from the excessive admiration of more powerful of his fellow countrymen. The excessive admiration had concerned, not Herr Oberberger himself, but a certain gas which had been a byproduct of an unsuccessful rocket fuel, which might have been a highly successful something else, if, of course, the professor had given them the correct formula, which anyway, the professor had made good his escape and now lived in a house in Connecticut, and so did Mitke. A small gray mouse and a small gray man. Nothing unusual about either of them. Particularly, there was nothing unusual about Mitke. He had a family, and he liked cheese. And if there were Rotarians among mice, he would have been a Rotarian. The Herr Professor, of course, had his mild eccentricities. A confirmed bachelor, he had no one to talk to except himself. But he considered himself an excellent conversationalist, and held constant verbal communion with himself while he worked. That fact, it turned out later, was important, because Mitke had excellent ears and heard those night-long soliloquies. He didn't understand them, of course. If he thought about them at all, he merely thought of the professor as a large and noisy super-mouse who squeaked overmuch. "Und now," he would say to himself, "we will see whether this exhaust tube was properly machined."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?